I'm Christina. I'm sitting in my kitchen, the morning news playing softly in the background. The anchor's voice drones on, but I'm only half listening until I hear a name that makes my blood run cold: Ethan Blackwood. The report is brief and clinical. Ethan has been convicted on multiple counts of financial fraud, forgery, and obstruction. The evidence is solid: documents recovered from his office, corroborated records, and a pattern of misconduct spanning years. He's facing substantial prison time, asset forfeiture, and restitution for those he's wronged. As I turn down the volume and lean against the counter, a sense of quiet release washes over me. It's not triumph or vindication, just a feeling that a long-held tension has finally loosened its grip. But how did I get here? Let me take you back. My parents were simple, hard-working people. My father was a mechanic, honest and reliable. He spent his days under cars, getting his hands dirty to provide for our family. My mother was a schoolteacher, kind-hearted and patient. They instilled in me the values of integrity and hard work. I met Ethan when I was in my early 20s. He was charming, with a vision for the future that seemed so bright. He talked about building a successful business, creating a life of comfort and security for us. I was smitten. We got married, and for a while, it was like a dream. But as the years went by, Ethan changed. His long hours at work turned into nights away from home. Our conversations became transactional, and affection was a rare commodity. I started to notice little things: late-night messages he forgot to delete, sudden business trips that didn't quite add up. When I finally confronted him, he was cold and matter of fact. He said that people grow in different directions, and our marriage was just an inevitable casualty. The divorce proceedings were a nightmare. Ethan hired a top-notch legal team, and they played dirty. A DNA test was introduced without my consent. I remember the moment clearly, the quiet rustle of papers as the test results were presented in court. I tried to object, explaining that there had been no proper procedure, but Ethan's lawyers had all the right documents and arguments. The judge, who seemed more interested in getting the case over with, ruled the evidence admissible. The decision was devastating. I lost the house we had bought together, a house that my parents had helped with the down payment. They had trusted Ethan, believed in our shared future. But with a few words from the judge, it was all gone. And to add insult to injury, as the court adjourned, Ethan kissed his mistress right in front of me, a deliberate act of humiliation. After the divorce, I was left in a financial mess. I had to start driving for a ride-share service to make ends meet. My daughter, Ava, became my constant companion in the car. She was only 6 years old, and I felt so guilty that I couldn't afford proper childcare. We shared meals whenever we could, stretching leftovers across days and choosing groceries with the utmost care. One rainy day, I got a ride request. 2 passengers, short wait time, standard fare. I picked them up near the transit hub. A man and a woman, both carrying modest travel bags. They were polite and quiet, and I didn't think much of them at first. As I drove, I tried to focus on the road. But their hushed conversation started to filter through. The woman was speaking in a calm, deliberate tone, as if outlining a well-thought-out plan. She mentioned something about a cleaning position that would give her access to a company within the first week. Then, she said a name: Ethan Blackwood. My foot hit the brake before I could even think. The car jolted, and Ava stirred in her seat in the back. The man asked if everything was okay, and I quickly blurted out something about a dip in the road. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. It couldn't be a coincidence. The context, the planning, it all pointed to my ex-husband. I tried to convince myself that it was just a common name, but deep down, I knew it was him. I drove the rest of the route in a daze, hyper-aware of every word they said. When we reached their destination, they thanked me and left. I sat there for a moment, my hands shaking, my mind racing. I knew I had a decision to make. Should I say something? Should I warn Ethan? I went to my friend, Sarah. She was a no-nonsense kind of person, always speaking her mind. I told her what I had overheard, and she scoffed. "You don't owe him anything," she said firmly. "He's spent years ruining people legally. If someone finally gets him, it's not your problem." But I couldn't shake the feeling that if I said nothing and something bad happened, I would be partly responsible. I thought about Ava, and what I would want her to do if she knew something was wrong. In the end, I decided to call Ethan. It was a call I had sworn I would never make again. I waited until Ava was asleep, then sat at the kitchen table with my phone in my hand. I took a deep breath and pressed the call button. He answered on the second ring, his voice sharp and irritated. When I told him what I had heard, he laughed. He thought I was being paranoid, that I was just trying to cause trouble. He dismissed my warning, saying that he could handle himself. A few days later, I was dropping off a passenger near the river when I saw a man who looked familiar. He was wearing a knit cap and had his shoulders hunched against the damp air. When he lifted his head and our eyes met, I recognized him. It was the man from the ride. He approached my car slowly and explained that his name was Jake Thompson, and the woman was his sister, Lisa. Their father had run a mid-size investment firm, and Ethan had been his right-hand man. When their father died unexpectedly, Ethan took over and systematically stole everything. Jake had even gone to prison for a crime he didn't commit. Lisa had been planning to get the evidence against Ethan for years. The cleaning job was her way to get into his office without suspicion. They weren't interested in violence, they just wanted the truth to come out. I told Jake that I had warned Ethan, but he just gave a faint, humorless smile. "We didn't expect him to listen," he said. Meanwhile, Lisa was working her way into Ethan's office. She was the perfect cleaning lady, always there at the right time, never drawing attention to herself. Ethan noticed her, though. He started asking her questions, and she answered honestly when it didn't matter and vaguely when it did. Ethan's longtime assistant, Mia, started to get suspicious. She had always been the one who knew his schedule and his vulnerabilities. When Ethan started staying late at the office and becoming distracted, Mia installed small concealed cameras throughout the office. One evening, the cameras captured Lisa entering Ethan's office alone. She opened the safe, photographed the documents, and put everything back exactly as she found it. Mia immediately called Ethan and told him to come to the office. When Ethan arrived, he was furious. He confronted Lisa, but she was calm and confident. She presented him with a folder of evidence, showing the fraudulent transactions he had authorized. Just then, Jake walked into the office, no longer in disguise. Ethan realized too late who they were. The police arrived, and Ethan and Mia were both arrested. In the weeks that followed, the legal process unfolded. I was shocked to learn that Jake had insisted my situation be reviewed separately during the restitution discussions. He provided documentation and statements to ensure that I was included as someone who had been wronged. The house was returned to me. I stood in the entryway, the keys warm in my hand, and felt a sense of homecoming. There was also some compensation, not enough to erase the years of pain, but enough to give me some stability. I eventually left ride-share driving. I found a job that gave me a more predictable schedule and allowed me to spend more time with Ava. Jake and I stayed in touch. Our conversations started as practical, about paperwork and loose ends, but over time, they became more personal. One evening, as I tucked Ava into bed, she looked up at me and said, "You're not tired all the time anymore." I smiled and told her I knew. As I sit here now, looking out at the city, I realize that justice often comes quietly, through the persistence of those who are willing to fight for the truth. I made the right decision by speaking up, even though it was hard. Integrity may not guarantee protection or reward, but it allows me to live with myself. And in the end, that's what matters most.